Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.
Hello everyone and welcome to my presentation. Today I am going to talk about a subject that has attracted a lot of debate over the past 20 years or so. The subject I'm referring to is sentiment analysis. And the debate was whether this concept can be considered a long-lasting solution or just a tool that will fade away in the future. But let us start with the beginning. What is sentiment analysis? What are its uses? And can everyone use it? Why would anyone choose to use it? And last but not least, is it a fad or a solution? These are just a few of the questions I would like to touch in my expose. What is sentiment analysis? It is a linguistic analysis technique that examines user-generated content from offline and online sources in order to determine the sentiment of the people towards things like products, ideas or services, sometimes even towards another person or group of persons. It is often called opinion mining, depending on the domain it is used in. It is based on natural language processing. This tool is particularly used to understand what makes people feel comfortable, what makes them feel at home, and what makes them tick, so that interested parties can go ahead and plan for the future, so that when the times come, they could be ready to offer their customers whatever it is they need to be pleased. Now, going back to the reason why I chose this subject, I would like to say that it wasn't actually a choice to be made, as I have always wanted to better understand how sentiment analysis works. Ever since my first encounter with the capital markets, I wondered if there was a way to correlate financial movements to real-life events, and maybe find a way to predict those movements using the crowd gossip. It was only in 2004 when I realized that the prediction solution I was thinking of 2 years before that date was actually researched, and it had a name. That was sentiment analysis. I realized at that time the potential of this concept and the ways it can be used. Therefore, I kept tabs on the subject, and since that time, the importance of this concept has only kept on rising. Why choose sentiment analysis? This question must have crossed my mind hundreds of times, but the answer I came up with was always the same. Why wouldn't you? Of course, there are alternatives to sentiment analysis, which are more or less accurate than this concept, but actually, what helps taking this decision is the business sector you're into and the actual solution researched and developed for it. But as of 2014, the domains in which this concept can be applied is very broad. Anything from financial and medical services to art can make use of it. And the larger the information pool it accesses, the more relevant connections it can create. Each and every organization needs access to information, as nowadays information is the new currency. The more information you gain, the more decision-making power you have, and it allows one to make better informed decisions. But in order to sift through mounds of data, one company will need an army of analysts, which are slow and costly over large periods of time. This is where sentiment analysis can make a real difference, as the deployments do not require a company to commit to using large spaces that increase costs, as it would happen by using human analysis. And the data one system uses can be digitally stored off-site and only accessed on demand, which cuts the cost of analytics even further. That is before even mentioning the fact that an automated system can realize analysis in real time, and for now, it can almost match the human accuracy at 85% compared to humans at 90%. This level of accuracy, though, is enough to offer its user an upper hand if utilized correctly, by allowing him to get a glimpse into the future. Although the concept appears to be able to offer a solid solution for any business, there are issues that could inhibit its implementation. The first two main issues are represented by the human element, like most business issues. The first one, being the most difficult to overcome, is the unwillingness of the human nature to accept change and the trust issues that can result from that. The second issue is, of course, the technical knowledge needed in order to utilize such an implementation. Knowledge which is usually missing in most organizations, given the youthfulness of the concept in its modern inception. Of course, while these issues could arise in just a few organizations, the one-time deployment cost, which is highly dependent on the volume of data that needs to be analyzed, can be very high and infeasible for smaller companies. But according to Cisco officials, paying the price is worth it, as the machine pays for itself over time. As mentioned earlier, the domains that could make use of sentiment analysis are very broad, stretching throughout all the industries. To be more specific, the financial organizations can use it to predict trends and prices. Actually, there are companies already doing it with 88% accuracy, using solely one information source. The retail industry uses it to predict future demand on a big scale, or sometimes even localized to a particular area or even one particular shop. Back office companies use it to provide their customers with a better customer service experience. The manufacturing industry uses this tool to discover quality issues along the supply chain, while the healthcare industry uses it to discover areas with room for improvement. Lately, even the art and literature sector started toying around with implementations of this concept. But sentiment analysis can be used in any industry that cares about the voice of the customer and wishes to improve its care, to any activity that makes predictions based on the social media and not only, and to any and each individual or organizations wishing to make a better informed acquisition or choice. As presented during this former slide, there is a solution using machines based on sentiment analysis and natural language processing for every corporation out there that values the impact that social movement can have on future decisions. There is no other tool on the market that can offer as much insight into the direction of the economic environment at a given time as this tool can offer. With the exception of human reasoning, of course, but that is just for now. Besides its tremendous analytical capacity and its ability to retarget its base code to any industry, no system can be used to report in such creative and various ways as per the request of the user. To answer the primary debate issue, it is understandable why many would consider this concept a fad if we are to take into account the snowball effect it had over the past 20 years. Having experienced many financial bubbles, it is only natural to see organizations approaching this subject with skepticism, as sometimes failed attempts to bring change upon a corporation can very well lead to catastrophic failure. But digging deeper into its more primal roots, we soon discover that it survived millennia of use, and it only gained terrain in the recent years by being developed into a tool with very wide applicability. It is the reason why I dare to say that this concept has a bright future and has a strong possibility to become one of the greatest tools ever created for the business world. Of course, that is only if the research and development phenomenon continues the way it presents itself in the present moment. But even if most businesses will give up on using sentiment analysis, it will still be further developed by the IT sector as part of close to human artificial intelligence projects, which is an active developed area. It is one of the reasons why I highly doubt that the implementation and use of this tool will simply fade away. Observing how moldable this concept is, being able to accommodate any industry in its myriad of uses, the reporting comes as well in many different shapes and forms. The most common reporting format is plain text, more or less coded for general viewers. It can present itself in various graphical representations, while other reports can come out as paintings or music, based mostly on novels and fairy tales. But, as you can see in Figure 1 and Figure 3, which are both based on analyzing the current article, there are differences in the quality of each implementation. Individuals and organizations likewise have to realize that we no longer live in full anonymity on the web, and therefore we can all be subjected to opinion mining and sentiment analysis. This is the reason why understanding that you have a digital identity and so a digital citizenship is extremely important. We no longer live in an analog era where information travels slow. These days, news travel in real time and everyone has a digital identity. And so, failing to uphold your digital footprint can have serious consequences upon your real-life perceived identity. I would like to use this opportunity to thank my dear friend Daniela Rotaro for providing me with access to the library facilities of University of Milano Bicocca. I would also like to thank my family for morally supporting me during my research, and of course the two anonymous reviewers that helped proofreading the written article.